We'll be reading from this book again, The African Presence in Early Europe. This is the beginning, the introduction. It looks to me that this civilization belonged to a quote-unquote African people, okay? Upon Craig Evans remarked, whether they like it or not, classical students must consider origins. The Grecians, whom they concern in the New Dawn, were not the pale-skinned northerners, but essentially the dark-haired, brown-complected race. So now we're at the Blue Letter Bible, Strong's number Old Testament Hebrew for Grecian, H3125, Yavani, English equivalent Grecian. Let's look it up. So it says Yavani, outline of biblical usage. Number 1, the Grecians, Ionians. Strong's definition, a Javanite or descendant of Javan, Grecian. Now we're at Brown Driver Briggs Lexicon, Strong's H3125. It says adjective of a people only with article as proper name of a people. Joel 4 and 6, Joel 3 and 6. And the sons of Jerusalem ye have sold to the sons of the Ionians. So who are the Ionians? What line do they descend from? So now we're at Genesis chapter 10, verse 2. The sons of Japheth, Gomer and Magog, Madai and Javan, and Tubal and Mishi and Tyrus. Okay? So the Caucasian does not descend from the sons of Japheth. I know they teach that in these different religions and whatnot, but the white man is not from the seed of Japheth. Ham, Shem, and Japheth were all men of color, believe it or not. So now we're at the word Yavan or Javan, outline of biblical usage. Number 1, Javan equals Ionia or Greece. Okay, a son of Japheth and grandson of Noah. B, Greece, Ionia, Ionians. Number 1, location of descendants of Javan. Now we're at the Strong's definition, Yavan, probably of the same as H3196, effervescing, i.e. hot and active. Javan, the name of a son of Joktan, and of the race, meaning seed line, Ionians, i.e. Greeks. So the original Greeks or ancient Greeks were people of color, which you will call swarthy or tawny, or in modern terms, black. Descended from him with their territory, also of a place in Arabia, Javan. The whole idea of civilization of ancient Crete and Greece as purely or even largely a Aryan is under challenge. Martin Barnell attacks the assumption that Greek civilization was a result of invasions of Greece by Indo-European speakers. He contends that the only evidence that can support such a invasion is that Greek is fundamentally a Indo-European language. There are, however, many non-Indo-European elements in the Greek language and in many divine, mythological, and place names. According to the Greeks themselves, Greece was first inhabited by primitive tribes and later settled by Egyptians and Phoenicians. So now we're at the famous Zondervan Compact Bible Dictionary, Ham. The youngest son of Noah, born probably about 96 years before the flood, and one of the 8 persons to live through the flood. He became the progenitor of the dark races, not the Negroids, but the Egyptians, Ethiopians, Libyans, and Canaanites. Okay? Nothing recessive can be a progenitor of a dominant gene. The Phoenicians brought the alphabet to the Egyptians, taught the natives the names of the gods and how to worship them. The earliest royal dynasties of Greece were thought to have been descended from the gods, some of whom were Egyptian in origin, or to actual Egyptians or Phoenicians. The Greeks themselves, Herodotus and Aeschylus and Euripides, pronouncing it right, said so. But racist scholarship in the late 18th century started a shift away from the way the early Greeks saw themselves. Burnell analyzes the shift in the emotional and intellectual climate in Europe that made scholars reject the earlier and more authentic version of Greek origins, the ancient model, in favor of a completely Caucasoid base for this civilization, the Aryan model. The views of the Romantic ethnicity and racial hierarchy provided a large part of the basis for the dismissal of the ancient model and the creation of the Aryan one. Burnell closely examines the documentary, archaeological, and linguistic evidence and shows convincingly the influence of the African and the Shemite on early Greece. So now we're at Romans chapter 10, verse 12, and it states in the NIV, "For there is no difference between Jew and Gentile. The same Lord is Lord of all and richly blesses all who call on him." The NLT states Jew and Gentiles are the same in this respect. The English version states, "For there is no distinction between Jew and Greek." So obviously the ancient Greeks, which descended from Japheth, were people of color. So were the original Hebrews or the Israelites. So there was no racism or skin complexion like we view in modern times. So now we're at James chapter 1, verse 1, and it states, "James, a servant of the Most High and of the Lord Jesus Christ, or Yahar'el, to the 12 tribes which are scattered abroad, greetings." So the epistles or letters were for the scattered of the nation of Israel, which assimilated into Greek culture. So now we're back at the Blue Letter Bible, New Testament, Greek for Grecian, Strong's number G1675, Hellenistes or Grecians. So it states outline of biblical usage. Number 1, a Hellenist. A, one who imitates the manners and customs or the worship of the Greeks in the use of the Greek tongue. B, used in the New Testament of Jews born in foreign lands and speaking Greek. Need I say more? Now we're at the Strong's definition. Hellenistes, from derivative of G1672, a Hellenist or Greek speaking Jew, meaning what? A Israelite, a Grecian. Strong's G1675, it says right here, i.e. one who imitates the manners and customs or the worship of the Greeks and uses the Greek tongue employed in the New Testament of Jews born in foreign lands and speaking Greek, Grecian Jews. We have this book, Nature Knows No Color Line by J.A. Rogers. Negroes from ancient Greece. Okay, see the comb coils, starter locks, so to speak, the woolly coarse hair, and so forth. Coins with Negro head. Melanis, mother of Delphos, founder of the rites of Apollo. Showtime at the Apollo. Other black Venuses were Melanis, from which is derived melanin, or the pigment in the Negro skin. And Skoda, or Skada, if I'm pronouncing it right, Egyptian princess married to a Greek, and from whom it is said the name Scotland originated. She is believed to be the ancestress of the Scots. Right here, Negroes from ancient Greece. Okay. Artemis, goddess of chastity, Negro, Amazon. Okay, vase with Negro and white women. Okay. Right here, the physical evidence for an African presence in Greece and Rome, as presented in Frank Snowden's book Blacks in Antiquity, is compelling and extensive. Asa Hillard, in his review of this work, underlines the maliciousness of Snowden's scholarship, but he regrets, as many of us do, that Snowden's departs from this scholarly regimen at times and begins to reflect the legacy of the distorted perspectives of his predecessors. Without using the type of primary evidence he has used in other places, he leaves impression that Hannibal was white. Also, that there was a biological distinction between Egyptians and Ethiopians. It is unfortunate Hillard concludes that Snowden seems not to be aware of the work of other African diasporian scholars whose prior work is directly relevant to his own. Nevertheless, we agree with Hillard that Blacks in Antiquity is a groundbreaking book in spite of the limitations he has cited.